Do you want to turn your Nintendo 64 or console into something cool that looks like this? Let's go ahead and break it down. Alright, but first let's go ahead and start off with a little shopping list of what you will need. What I would recommend is picking up some plastic adhesion promoter. You can probably get this stuff on Amazon. Most auto parts stores should probably have this. I'm not sure if like maybe Walmart might have it as well. Obviously you will need some paint. I am using a brand called Custom Paints. I'm using a 3-stage color from them, which is actually called Chroma Coat Cyan. Then I'm also using their 2K clear coat just to make sure that everything looks nice and glossy after I am finished. You don't have to sand anything, but if you want, you can use something like a red Scotch-Brite pad to just scuff everything up to ensure there is some good adhesion between the paint layers. Also, you will need some primer or something like a black base coat or just a base coat color in general. So if you're just going to be painting your console and maybe you say you want it to be like a red metallic, get some adhesion promoter, get some red metallic. You might also want like a black primer, some clear coat, and some masking tape just to go ahead and tape off some stuff. So for the Nintendo 64 specifically, you will need a security type of screwdriver like this or a socket to remove the screws on the bottom of the console. Go ahead and disassemble the console and then we will go ahead and move on to the next step. Once you are inside of the console, go ahead and remove all of the Phillips head screws inside to remove the motherboard from the bottom shell. Now, the screws on the top of this heatsink, I don't think you have to remove, although I did remove those initially. Once you have all of these screws removed from the motherboard, we can then go ahead on to the next step. Now, once you have the two halves taken apart, you can go ahead and use some compressed air, or you can go ahead and dump these into a bucket of soapy water and wash them and then let them dry. Basically, you just want to go ahead and remove all the dust and stuff that is inside of the console shell. After you have either cleaned or just using compressed air to blow the dust out, we can then go ahead and move on to the next step. Now, try not to break the console when you're taking apart like I did. I ended up having to plastic weld some of the pieces of the console back together, although they were in an inconspicuous area anyways, so I wasn't really too worried if somebody was going to see them or not. Now what I would recommend is take all of the parts and just go ahead and wipe them down with some rubbing alcohol. I got a spray bottle of rubbing alcohol from, I think it was Walmart for like $3 or $4. They're pretty nice. You can refill those and reuse them all the time. Go ahead and just wax everything down with some rubbing alcohol, wipe it down with a clean microfiber towel. If you do break any of the plastic onto the console shell itself, you can go ahead and use a soldering iron to basically plastic weld it back together. There are a bunch of different ways to do that, so if you do end up doing that, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that'll show you how to do it. I basically just take the solder and then I press it in to kind of melt the two pieces back together. It works well enough. Now, once you have cleaned everything and wiped it down with some rubbing alcohol, you can then go ahead and take some masking tape. I like this orange tape. It's actually an automotive-based painting tape. It's a lot less tacky than the blue stuff, although you can get low-tack blue 3M tape. Go ahead and tape off any emblems or stickers that you do not want to paint over. Use an X-Acto knife to cut around the edge, and then peel the tape off. Once you have that done, you can go ahead and wipe the console down one more time with some rubbing alcohol just to make sure that you get all the oil and grease off of the console now that you have rubbed your grubby fingers all over it. And we can move on to the next step. Now moving on to paint. So for the actual Nintendo 64 shell, I'm going to be painting that a different color. The little feet and power button and reset button I'm going to be painting with like a gold pearl. I am going to be using this SEM plastic adhesion promoter. The very first coat will be a light coat, and then you will wait 5 minutes, come back and do a secondary heavier coat and wait no longer than 15 minutes before applying your color. So spray the plastic adhesion promoter, wait 5 minutes, come back, spray a heavier coat of the plastic adhesion promoter, wait about 10 or 15 minutes, and then apply either your primer or your color directly over everything. After you have applied your secondary coat of the plastic adhesion promoter and waited a good 10 minutes, you can then go ahead and apply your base color or color in general. Go ahead and apply either your primer or your base color at this point, and then let it flash off for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you can come back in with either a second coat, or you can move directly onto either clear coat, or if you're doing like I am doing, which is kind of considered a 3-stage color, you can then move on to your secondary 3-stage color step. So I'm doing a pearl color called Chroma Coat Cyan. It comes from Custom Paints that are down here in Florida. Basically just going to go ahead and wax everything with a few coats of this Chroma Coat Cyan and then let them flash off about 10 to 15 minutes in between each coat. I didn't have much of this color left in the can anyways, so I used about, I would say, 3 to 4 coats in total. I did do some heavier coats, so I actually only got really about 2.5 or 3 coats, but each coat was kind of heavy, so I put the effect on a lot quicker. You don't want to apply too much too quickly because you can make it run or you can cause other issues, so try to do as light of a coat as possible. You don't need to cover it all in one sitting. Once you are happy with the number of coats and everything looks good, you can then go ahead and apply your clear coat. I am using a 2K or 2-part clear coat. It has to be activated as there are 2 parts inside of the aerosol can. There's a bladder inside with the activator, and once that blade inside gets cut open, the activator releases and goes into the rest of the clear coat. You have to mix it up for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then everything should be good to go. You can go ahead and apply your clear. Now, I did about 3 to 4 coats on the actual shell, and I did about 3 coats on the little feet and the power button and reset button. Again, don't apply too much too quickly. You don't want it to run, and you don't want it to get caked up inside of little cracks and crevices where it might have dripped down. So just take that into consideration. Do a few lighter coats at first, and then when you're ready to finish it up, let's say you do 2 or 3 coats, your very 4th coat, just go ahead and make it a little bit heavier. So this way, if you have to cut and buff, you can go ahead and just attack that last layer. You don't actually break through the rest of the clear coat. After you have applied your last coat of clear coat, go ahead and let that cure. I say give it at least a minimum of an hour or 2 before you pick it up. After that, you should be able to go ahead and move it inside if you need to. I have this on a little table, so I let it sit out in the garage overnight. And the very next morning when I picked it up, everything was good to go. I was able to handle it and put it all back together. Now, last thing I do want to mention, I will say give this at least a minimum of 24 to 48 hours before you start reassembling the console. The clear coat itself will still be soft, but if you are doing this and you're impatient, you may cause issues where either you smudge the clear coat or the clear coat gets scratched pretty easily and everything just kind of starts to flake off. After you are done, it should look something like this. So tell me what you guys think down in the comments. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments as well. I will answer them to the best of my ability, and I will leave a link for everything in the description as well. If you guys like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you didn't like this video, also give it a thumbs up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. I'm Jordan, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
My bitch is bad and bullshit. Cooking up dope with a Uzi. My niggas are savage, ruthless. We got 30s and 100 rounds too. My bitch is bad and bullshit.